On 4th March, the Catholic Church honors Saint Casimir, a prince whose life of service to God has made him a patron saint of Poland, Lithuania, and young people, and is invoked against the plague. Casimir was born in 1458, the third of 13 children born to Poland's King Casimir IV and his wife Elizabeth of Austria. He and several of his brothers studied with the priest and historian John Dlugosz, whose deep piety and political expertise influenced Casimir in his upbringing. At 9, he was already noted for his piety, and in his growing years was often found spending long hours of the night in prayer on his knees and meditation on the suffering and death of Christ before the locked doors of churches, unmindful of the inclemency of the weather. The young prince had distaste for the luxury of courtly life and instead chose the way of asceticism and devotion. He wore plain clothes with a hair shirt beneath them, slept frequently on the ground. Casimir showed his love for God through these exercises of devotion and also through his material charity to the poor. His charity towards the poor knew no bounds. He was known as a deeply compassionate young man who felt others' pains acutely, thus earning him the title of father and defender of the poor and wretched. Casimir had a particularly ardent devotion to the Eucharist and to Our Lady, whom he addressed as his good mother, and he would daily recite kneeling Saint Anselm of Canterbury's tender hymn, Daily, daily, sing to Mary. The young prince was only 13 years old when his father was asked by the Hungarians to offer his son as their new king. Casimir was eager to aid the Hungarians in their defense against the Turks and went to be crowned. This plan was unsuccessful, however, and he was forced to return to Poland. After his return, Casimir resumed his studies with Dlugosz while developing a canny grasp of politics by observing his father's rule. In 1479, the king left Poland to attend to state business in Lithuania, leaving Prince Casimir in charge of the realm between 1481 and 1483. Advisors to the prince joined his father in trying to convince Casimir to marry, but he preferred to remain single, focusing his life on the service of God and the good of his people. After experiencing symptoms of tuberculosis, Casimir foresaw his death and prepared for it by deepening his devotion to God. He died en route to Lithuania on March 4th, 1484, and was buried with a copy of a Marian hymn he frequently recited. Pope Adrian VI canonized him in 1522. Saint Casimir's body was found to be still incorrupt 122 years after his death. 5 centuries after his death, Pope John Paul II recalled how Saint Casimir embraced a life of celibacy, submitted himself humbly to God's will in all things, devoted himself with tender love to the Blessed Virgin Mary, and developed a fervent practice of adoring Christ present in the Blessed Sacrament. To all, the Pope said, he was a shining example of poverty and of sacrificial love for the poor and needy.